All right, so in this video today, I want to just kind of go through the review process a little bit more in detail. Some articles that we're going to focus on, or probably just one article we're going to focus on, is already going to be in the editing stage and the publishing stage. So, or finished maybe with the editing, I believe it is, and it's on to the publishing stage. So let's open it up, let's look at it and see where we are. All right, so here in Trello, I'm going to go over here to the publishing review column. I have two articles already in process, just about finished. That means they could be either maybe they just went into WordPress and got set up, and I need to review it for the first time, or it could be already completed with edits and set up, and it's maybe looking for final approval. So let's see where they are, okay? So I'm going to open up this one here that says not approved and review in progress. Make sure you add those tags so that the editor, or I'm sorry, the publisher will know that you are working on the article and they can expect to hear something from you today, okay? So here we go. We got these two. It still says to pending publishing review. Well, it's not pending review. It's actually in progress. But we'll leave that tag on until we're totally complete. When we finish and approve this, we're basically going to add the tag approved to publish live, and you can access that from this little menu as well. Just make sure you hit more labels and then maybe more labels again because there's a lot of labels in there. So we would put in here approved to publish live, and then we would take off the other ones, and then they would know, okay, from that point on, they can just move it into the last column, which is published, and be finished with it. So let's go ahead and open this one up. And what I want to do is I want to make sure I open up the documents required. So in this case, I always recommend you open up the content brief every stage of this editing process, just to make sure you can refamiliarize yourself with the article, the keyword, exactly how we're writing that article, because you will forget going from one article to the next, to the next, to the next, because there's so many articles being worked on at the same time. So make sure you open up that content brief. You don't really need to open up, I'm going to expand these here. You don't really need to open up the beginning thing. So we don't want to open up any more of the template checklist or the neuron writer. But we do want to open up the content brief. So I'll click on that. We'll open up that content brief. I'll go back to here. I'm going to open up the WordPress link because we are currently in publishing. So that means we are working on it. And then I'm going to go back to see if I need anything else. I'm going to need a copy of the most recent checklist, and that one's going to need to be opened as well. And then this is the actual article from the Google Doc. Okay, so we are past that point, so I no longer need that one as well. So I already opened up this one by just clicking on it again. And then I want to scroll down and I want to look at my notes to refresh my memory of what I asked this publisher to do, and then check to make sure they did that. Okay, so let's just scroll down here. So it looks like here's my edits that I went through and gave a detailed list to the publisher and said, hey, this is what I see needs some attention and some correction, to go back and put some work into these steps. This is what's needed to publish this article live. So this is missing or wrong or needs a little extra tender loving care, if you will. Okay, so that's what I did. I went in here and I put, the editor's name. If you just put reply here to the person that actually sent the last comment, it will put their name automatically in there. If you want to add other names, you can put the @ sign, and then it'll bring up a little menu, and then you can add other people to that list of edits. And I do that because sometimes maybe we're in the writing stage, or we're just finishing writing and getting ready for editing, and I want both the editor and the writer to know about something that I put here in these details. So I would put both of them in that note to make sure they get a notification that their attention needs to be drawn to this article. All right, so in here I put update feature image. They were using an image that was copyright, maybe copyright protected, I'm not sure, but it was actually on the product website, and we're doing a product review, and it was the header image of this product. So we don't want the same exact image. It may look like we stole their image, especially if somebody clicks on a link and it takes them right to that article. They're going to say, hey, I just saw this image somewhere else, right, on their article. We don't want them to think we're stealing information, we're plagiarizing. It's going to give us a bad name and a bad rap, thinking the people, even though it may not be accurate, they will immediately think, oh, they took this from the other person, and it could be royalty free images, meaning anybody can use it, but it just doesn't look good. So let's not do that. So I wrote in here basically to remove that image. And then I also wrote here there was something top benefits need to be reworded. The period was missing at the end of the cons outro, and then the alternative URL links need to be formatted. Let's see, not forced. So yeah, when we're doing URLs in an article, we don't want to force the readers to click on something like I showed in one of my other videos. So if you need to refer back to that, look at how I talk about adding links into articles. But really, we don't want to force it and say, hey, click here for more information. We want to actually make it naturally flow and put it into and use a word that's already there in the sentence that makes sense, a word or a couple words. And that's what I was saying here, that we don't want to force it by telling the readers find more information by clicking on this website. And she had that a couple times for the alternatives. I think actually every one of them, if I remember right, had that. So we'll check that. A period missing in the FAQs, last sentence, we'll check that. And then the CTA buttons, they were not pointing to the actual pricing page. They were just pointing to the home page. So that needed to be updated, because when we're talking about pricing, we want to direct our readers to click on it to find the prices. We don't want to send them to the home page and make them have to search for the prices, because sometimes they're not very obvious, and we need to find that information for them and give it to them. Since we're not doing it, we're not publishing that information on our articles, because it's not very evergreen. It changes a lot, and they don't notify us that it's changing, and then we will have our information will be incorrect. So in order to avoid those mishaps and that misinformation, we really just avoid putting a number on there for price and say, hey, here's the link to see the current pricing. And then the last one was images missing URLs on the article, linking back to the article. So let's go back up and see, the response from the writer. And again, I'm just refreshing my memory so that I can figure out where I'm at in the editing process of the publishing or the reviewing process. So here she came back to me and said, thanks for the quick response. And then let's see, regarding the Grammarly recommendations, she was saying that really she's only seen this one, in this case, this grab CAD, and it should have she's saying it's Grammarly saying it should have a space in between there. And then there was other ones with the word real time or real time with the little hyphen in between there. And that was what she was saying that the Grammarly was also recommending. And in my case, it's or in my way of looking at it and approving this is why don't we just have a couple both ways, so that we get maybe half of them or a couple of them with one way and a couple of them the other way, because sometimes in our SEO optimization tool, it recommends both ways, um, you know, so we need to make sure we include both in our articles as well. So we'll take a look at that. Then she says the CTA buttons do not point to the pricing. Oh, she's referring basically she likes to quote what I said and then write some information back about it again, I guess, to make sure I understand what she's talking about. And then she said basically, oh, what did I do? Let's go back to that. She was saying basically, did you mean, here's where she came back. Did you mean all of the CTA buttons or just the one following the part that I recommended? Okay. And then I went back and clarified for her, all CTA buttons with the template button that we're using in the entire article. Okay, since the button text is check current price, the link should always be directed to the pricing information of the reader. And then I said I will make a video showing you what exactly I'm seeing in the Grammarly recommendations, because I'm seeing more corrections than the two that she mentioned for GrabCAD in real time. So I made this video up here, you'll see, and then I said to disregard the comment I made about adding the links to the images. In this case, that was the last comment that I put down here, images missing URL links. And I said to disregard that, and the reason I did that is because we aren't talking about specific screenshot images. So if we had specific screenshot images of that product, then yes, we need to make sure that there is a link on the picture that we're adding, that screenshot picture, as well as inline text where the information will be for them to click on. So they can either click on the image or they can click on the hyperlink in the text. So that's what I was saying. But then I realized, oh wait, we're not talking about a specific screenshot, because our pictures were more random, that had to do with the article type. All right, so then we scroll up a little bit more here. You'll see I made the video and I explained to her, here's exactly what I'm seeing and here's what you should be looking for. I added that to the YouTube channel, so you can also see that video as well if you need to. Take a look at that. And then she came back with, okay, regarding this comment, the CTA buttons have been updated, and she put the word done. Okay, so let's take a look and just find out, did she complete all of the steps? Because the Grammarly were fixed here. I went ahead and fixed those while I was making the video. So I know that's fixed, but I want to make sure that all these other ones here too, with the incomplete sentence, the pricing, and the other information, just to double check and make sure I did check all of that. In addition to that, what we want to do is we want to check our checklist, and we want to make sure that we are on the correct article in this case, and it is the 5-star GrabCAD Workbench Review, Unleash Your Creativity. And if we verify that by going back to the Trello card, we can see 5-star GrabCAD Review, Unleash Your Creativity. So it is the right article. You can see all the scores here that were done in writing, editing, and now in publishing. And we need to go down to the section of publisher approval and just review your notes here to make sure that you checked off everything, you did everything. Because sometimes I will go through and maybe I didn't do this one and I'll leave it unchecked because I asked the publisher to do something and I want to make sure I verify that. So this is just a second place for me to remind myself that I may need to go back to that Trello card, which I should be doing anyways, but just a double check of, yeah, don't forget, there's something pending here. And if you really want to, you could put some notes even here on the approval section for yourself to come back to, and then just delete the notes once they have been completed. But if there are notes that pertain to the other person, and in this case, the publisher or the writer or the editor, make sure you put those on the actual Trello card. These would be just for yourself, possibly for me as well, you and me. And then when we finish those and clear those up, we can just delete that extra text or check it off and forget about it because it'll line through it all. Okay, and then so this one was for once they went to WordPress the first time. This has been approved, everything in here, and then I made some comments for the publishing of the articles. So once they put it in WordPress, they're going to put it in a draft mode, and then in that draft mode, you or me, the VA or the manager will go in and look at it and verify everything. And as you can see, everything's verify, verify, verify. We'll verify everything. And once we have verified everything and everything is good, we will give the approval label onto the Trello card and maybe even a comment that says approved to publish live. Okay, that'll send basically 2 notifications to the publisher to say, go for it, let it make it live. So take it out of draft mode and make it live, visible for everybody. All right, so in here I left one unchecked, and that was about that feature image. As you can remember, I just said that feature image needed to be changed. Everything else I went through and I did already, and I verified. So let's go into our WordPress and let's check. So the feature image has been changed. It's no longer the one that it was before. Going to, oh, wait a second. It looks like this was the actual picture. That was the feature image. And again, that is the one that is on the other page. So let's look also, did she update the check current price? All links should open in a new window. And we click on it to verify. It did open in a new window, a new tab is what I mean. And then let's look at the pricing and see if we can see some numbers. There we go. There's some numbers right there. So she did update the pricing button, but if we go back to the overview, I think, or the home page of GrabCAD, I did see, I don't remember where I saw that image, but I did see that same image. Maybe it wasn't on the GrabCAD shop. Maybe it was actually on the GrabCAD page. There, it was on one of these pages. That's what it was. GrabCAD, not in the shop itself. There it is. So we don't want the same images that they are using. So I am going to recommend that we remove this picture altogether, or if it's faster for me to just replace it myself with a better image, I'll just do that. Okay? So we'll do that. We'll take a look at it here once we get into WordPress editing. Right now, I'm not editing the post. I'm just viewing the post as a draft. I'm going to check these different tasks that I asked them to do, and let's look and make sure that they are done. Update the feature image. She did that. Okay, so that one's done. In top benefits, needs rewording. And I think I was talking about in this case when she was in the Google Doc, because we were just to the point of getting into WordPress, and I said, oh, I missed something. It's better to actually do it before they go into WordPress, but I think I missed something and asked her to go back and fix this. And she made the correction in the Google Doc and then copied the correction back to the WordPress. So I made extra work for her by not giving her all the details up front. That was my fault. But just make sure you're very thorough in your first pass, second pass, and even third pass if you need to, the first time you look at something. Um, and sometimes you'll catch it in the second pass and you didn't see it in the first pass. That's okay. But try to catch it before they go on to the next stage. So once the editor is finished with it and goes to the publisher, make sure that everything was approved and done. Otherwise, it's going to go to the publisher, and then you got to go back to the editor because you missed something and you caught it in the publishing stage. And sometimes it's the same person, but sometimes it may not be. Okay, so I believe that was fixed in there. The period was missing from the cons outro. I'm just going to verify that real quick. Let's go down to the cons. Okay, pricing cons. And there's the period. So yeah, she fixed both of these in the other stage of um, the Google Doc. Alternatives. Let's take a look at the alternatives and see. Oop, you know what? I'm gonna make sure that I'm catching all these buttons too, because we got to check all these buttons again, because there was a couple of call to actions. Buttons are call to actions. So let's go ahead and look. Yep, that one opened in a new tab. It did go to the pricing page. Here's another one. Same thing. Very good. Alternatives. Okay. Now, the alternatives or any products, um, we have a rule that the header, the title of that product or alternative product should be a link, and it should be external. You should see that little symbol right there that shows it's an external link, and you need to verify it. You need to click on it, make sure again it opens in a new tab and it goes to the correct page. In this case, it goes to the home page, which is fine because that's where we're directing our reader to go to, is this home page to find out more information. Again, we also do it on the first mention because sometimes, as you can see here, it's black until I roll over it, then it turns blue to indicate a link. But if somebody never rolls their mouse over there, they would miss that link for the information that we're trying to give them or that we want to give them. So that's why we do it again on the first mention. And if it's a few sentences, 3, 4, 5 sentences, and then we do it again at the last mention to make sure, maybe they didn't click on it because they wanted to read first, and then we just make it easy for them and hand it to them again at the end of the last sentence. Let's check that. Verify does work. It opens in a new tab. Very good. She also got rid of the sentence that was saying, for more information, click here. And that was on every single alternative. And I'll check those real quick. It looks like she did get rid of them all. Perfect. Okay, so we just need to now just verify these links. Open in a new window, correct. Again, opens in a new window, check the link, Turbo Squid, that's the one we're directing them to, home page, Sketchfab. Let's go to home page, that's correct. Again, very good. Thingiverse, looks good. Same thing with this first mention. Yep, opened in a new tab. 3D export. There it is, 3D export. Home page. And opened in a new tab. And again, the same thing here. Perfect. So those are finished. So I'm going to go back to my Trello comments here and I say, okay, she did finish all of those. The period was missing in the last FAQ intro, the last sentence. Let's check that. So we'll go down to the FAQs and I went too far. Here we go. and the last sentence of the intro, and there's the period right there. So she added that. Good. Call to action buttons we already checked. Let's see, was there any more? Yep, there's one right there. Yep, that one went there. And hopefully I didn't scroll past another one. I'm just going to verify that and go back up to where I left off, which was 3D export. Okay, got all those. And then the image missing URL, we can ignore that if you remember. Again, I said that's okay, my mistake. Good, looks like everything has been completed here. So I'm then going to go into the edit stage. And at this point, you could also, like I said, just kind of verify everything's working again. Open up the table of contents, make sure that, it looks like these are all links. You can just kind of glance and verify that, yep, there I see links on these. Great. I don't need to click on each one of them. It's just going to take me to that section of the page. But it's good to just open it and verify that it does open. People can see it. It does work. Looks like the only thing I need to do now in WordPress is update this one image, and we're good to publish live. So I'm going to go real quick into Edit Post. Now I could just make the note, send it back to the publisher, and say, hey, this image needs to be totally deleted, removed. But by the time I write that note, I could probably have already just found that image myself and did the work. So I'll show you real quick how to do that. Here we can go ahead and just click on the image, and I want to update that image. So I'm going to click these three little bars here. I'm going to look at the outline just to show you kind of another thing. Make sure you're glancing at to make sure that everything looks good here. The word count will be important to note onto our spreadsheet at the end. Okay, so I'm going to click on that image. I'm going to delete it. Okay, and then we're going to replace it with a new one. So you can see here the alternative text that was used really actually doesn't really describe the image. They should be describing the image. Remember, alt text is not only for the visually impaired, but it also is for SEO and for searchability reasons. So describe the purpose of the image, as you can see right underneath here it says. And then leave empty if just a decorative image, maybe it's just a color blue or something, square. So in this case, we'll want to update that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and to hit delete. I'm going to then just put my mouse where I want to put that image again. I'm going to add, and we can just click. You can type the word image if you don't see it on the screen in this little box, which I do. That's the basic image from WordPress. If you just type the word image, you'll see there's actually another one, an image advanced. I like using that one. Both actually are fine. And then if you click on select image, it's then going to open up our media library, and it's also going to show you, you should see a link, another tab that's called Pexels, and that is for royalty-free images. And then in here we can just type some keywords to pull up some images that they have available. So in this case, we could just type maybe CAD, see if anything comes up. If nothing comes up with that, you could find maybe a picture of a computer, something that has to do with the article, maybe a drawing, a blueprint for CAD. I like that. It actually has the alt text here for us. So let's go ahead and just click on this one. You can click either the download image here, select it, or hit download image over here at the bottom right. And I'll hit download image. It'll bring that into our media library. It'll add that alt text automatically. The only other thing I like to do is just copy, Control A, make sure, because there might be some below that you don't see. So I just put my mouse in there, Control A on my keyboard. If it works, if not, you can click and drag downwards, and it will select all that. And I like to just put it here in the description as well. I don't put it in the caption because if somebody rolls over, um, it may not be something that you want the reader to see necessarily. In this case, black illustration on white printed paper really doesn't give any benefit to the reader, so I only put it as the description um, on that image. And let's go ahead and just click on select. Nothing else needs to be done there. It's then going to populate it, put it into the article for us right where we wanted it. So we really now at this point just replaced the image. And the reason why I choose the advanced one is really just it gives me a few more editing options. But again, like I said, you don't really need to be too concerned with that. You can use the basic one. It works just as fine. Okay. From here, I'm just going to check the alt text, and here it is, alt text. There it is, it got copied in, so I'm all good with this. I don't need to do anything else. Okay. The only thing I would recommend is to check it before we update it. So in the view post, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to verify how it looks. And it didn't update it. So what that means is we need to update it first here. So let's click update. That should now save it again over top. It does bring this little post updated link here. We can click this one, or we can click the one we just clicked before next to the update button, and that will open it up. The difference is if I click that link, you see what happened. It just replaced the tab editing view with now the draft view, and I can't go back to edit unless I click the back button on my browser, or edit post again. So let's check and just see how it looks here. There's the image. I like that. That's fine. And then just kind of glance at the rest of the article. Make sure everything looks good, organized, pretty. We already checked the functionality of everything. So make sure that picture wasn't used somewhere else in the article. Sometimes you may forget, oh, there's a picture at the bottom and it's actually the same picture. So make sure you just kind of scroll through again, look at the bottom, make sure the author is me, make sure the related posts are showing up are fairly similar to the topic of what we're talking about here. And you can see the first one, inventory management software, 3D modeling software, music production, and then a marketing agency. So these are kind of varied. I mean, this one seems to be the most appropriate one to use. Possibly could be the inventory management, but I think really it's just this one is the good one. Everything else maybe could be changed. The previous posts are shown here. If there's another post, since this hasn't been published live, it's not showing both. And then some similar posts should be down at the bottom, and we do see that. And these are done automatically by the theme that we're using, so you really can't control that. What's controlled here is if we're using the correct tags in the article, it's matching those tags up and saying, well, these articles also had a similar tag or the same tag, and that's why it knows to put them in that similar post category. And so, yeah, 3D CAD, 3D animation, 3D printer, pretty similar. All right, so everything looks pretty good in here. I'm going to go back to the edit post. And I want to scroll down to the bottom because I want to look at those additional links that were added in by our plugin. And that's these right here under the Link Whisper related posts. And here we say current related posts. So here's where we could come in and we could uncheck the ones we don't want. And we could actually search for additional ones that maybe are better suited for the related. In this case, I'm going to just type in 3D and let's type CAD and let's just see what happens. Oh, it updated my keyword in here. I was searching for the post. Let's try this again. Let's type 3D CAD. Okay, so here's one that came up. We can go ahead and just click on that one. Um, let's see if we can add maybe something else. Let's just type CAD by itself and see first. You might need a few more letters. That's probably why it's not updating when I put just the word CAD. So let's go ahead and just type 3D. Might be able to do it together. You might need to try the space. But it looks like we do have one in here, and it's 3D modeling software. This is a different one. See, this says used in video games. It says unleash your creativity today. So let's go ahead and add that. And let's remove one maybe that doesn't apply. In this case, music. Not really applicable to the CAD. Like I said, inventory, maybe could, because inventory, maybe you're making CAD models and then you put them in an inventory to sell them. Okay, it's just sort of related. Digital marketing agency, really, it could be something similar, because the reason I say that is in digital marketing, maybe you are designing, right? And designing is in the marketing department, especially digital marketing, if we're designing it on the computer. So I think that could apply. So we'll just leave that one. So it's good to have at least 3 to 4, if possible, articles. So I'll go ahead and just say update related post. Okay. One other thing I want to check is make sure that all the other links below here in the link whisper uh, target keywords have been also completed. Sometimes there's suggestions. You can see down here it says no suggestions found. That means they've already been added to the article. Usually the editor and the publishers do this, and if not even, I'll check it to make sure that something was maybe not added. And that's it. Let's hit update. Again, we're checking this score here is the 94. That's what we saw on our checklist at the top, 94. And so I think this article is finished. So I'm going to go ahead and check off the verify. So everything has been completed on my checklist. One other thing we want to make sure is that they're adding the links here. And again, you can see this is from the writer. In this case, this is a different checklist than what the writer used. The videos, and then the editor adds their links, their videos. Okay, you can see a couple links added there. Photos added, not links. There's some photos. So we just want to make sure these are added. This one has been removed, so we can delete that one since we did that. And then we want to add the other image, right, that we added in the article. And so we might be able to select it, hit Control C on our keyboard if you're using a Windows computer, Apple key if using the Mac. And let's just see if we can post it in here. And yeah, there it is. So it did apply. And we did want to make sure that when we add these images, that it's always added into our media library. Remember, we did that. We did it manually, so we went through the check box or the plus box here to add a link, and we added it. So we know it went right into the library. And the reason why that's so important when you add a new picture is because if it's in the library and the link is added, it's always going to work, because unless our website goes down. If it's coming from another website, and sometimes editors or writers might do that, they might grab a picture from another website, which really is not in our SOP, our standard operating procedures. That is off limits. But sometimes they'll do that, and they'll link to it, and then it'll add it here, because if you remember, when we add the image, it said you could insert from a URL. So if they said, oh, okay, click, and they added it as a URL, you would see the picture just like it is here, but it would be linked to that other website. And now if that other website goes down, this picture is not going to show on our website, and it'll look like it'll be a broken picture. So the reader will have a bad experience, and we don't want that. So we need to make sure that we're copying those pictures into our media library. Even if it's downloaded from a royalty-free website, you should download it to your computer first and then upload it into the media library. So in this case, we'd used Pexels, which is already integrated. I'm going to delete this input here because we don't want that. We use Pixels, which automatically puts it into our media library. But I might have had my cursor here and clicked on this little plus over here, and then I might have requested to add media by clicking here, and then images or audio, in this case images, and I might have searched for CAD here. Okay, now you can see it's showing our pictures that are part of an article and that are already in our media library. We might also go to Openverse. That's another place to find royalty-free images. And if I have that keyword still there, it's now going to populate pictures coming from Openverse, which is royalty-free images. So those are good to add. And if I add those into my article, in this case, I don't really see many that look the same. Maybe something like that one. We'll just test that one and show what happens here. So it did add the image here for us, right? But do we know if it went into the media library? Okay, and look, it did not add the alternative text, so it does work like Pexels, but not as good in my opinion because it's not adding the alternative text. So now I have to describe the image myself. The other one was described by the artist who made that picture, or the person who uploaded into the royalty-free library put the description there. And it may or may not be a good description. Maybe it needs to be changed, which is fine. Definitely update it if it needs to be changed to fit our article and how we're intending to use the article. Okay? Because their description might just be a white block, right? A white block. Okay, well, we're writing an article about 3D geometry. A white block may not be the exact wording that we want to use for alternative text. We might put, it starts with a 2D drawing of a block, you know what I mean, or something like that, and put that as our alternative draw. Start with a drawing of a 2D, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, so now we have to go in and we have to add the alternate text to check and make sure that is also added to our library. In this case, it also puts a little description down here of the picture, which is the copyright information coming from that Openverse area. And that's okay. I mean, we can leave that, but I would recommend editing this a little bit and maybe taking out this CC0 1.0 and leaving the name that they gave it here, CAD Dojo template by the artist, and maybe even using that as your alternative text. So copy that and add that as your copyright, because that's what they've said it's called. And if we agree with that and it seems to fit our article, we can add that. Or we can even add more to it. CAD Dojo drawing, comma, 2D blueprint, you know, something that seems like it fits or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Just you can add to it if we need to, or change it however it fits. All right, so enough about that. The only other thing, like I said, is to make sure that it's added to our library, and to do that, you would have to update and then you'd have to get out of WordPress. And I'm going to go ahead and just delete this. I'm going to open up our outline again just to make sure it gets deleted. If I click here and I hit delete, it does also delete it from here, so there's not like an empty resource there waiting for us. And look, we can also see there's some Grammarly suggestions popping up. That's one last thing we'll want to make sure. And again, you can just scroll through there. These yellow ones are just, they're for the premium ones. We're not paying attention to those, so we can ignore those. In this case here, these should have been fixed. I believe I fixed these in that video that I made, but I did it in the Google Doc, and it looks like they were not copied over. So we need to fix those blue ones. Again, read them, watch the video that I made on this, and make these additions too. So before we publish live. So since I caught that, I could go back and again write a note to the publisher and say, hey, you didn't fix the Grammarly's. I gave you the video, and it's possible maybe she hasn't gotten to this stage yet. She said she only, if you remember, she only fixed the call to actions done. She didn't say she finished all the rest of this, right? So it's possible that, it's not ready for us at this point. But since I've already gone through here and looked at it, I'm just going to verify, because I believe I verified everything else. And I think maybe she did finish. She just didn't tell us that she finished everything. She only mentioned I finished one thing. So I'm just looking for the red underlines, the blue underlines. Those are definitely for the free Grammarly. Here's another one here, and if you read, it definitely says that more efficient way to say it is to change the wording to be efficiently and collaboratively. So I'm going to go ahead and update that. And again, I could make the notes and say, hey, the Grammarly's weren't finished. Hey, the image needed to be removed and replaced. But again, while I'm here editing it, I mean, it's just so easy to do and fast. It would take me more time. And there's the real-time one that we can leave. And that's it. Okay, everything's finished. I'm going to show you now. We're going to update. I'm going to show you real quick where to find that other image in our library. So we'll click here to go back to the home page menu, and then we can go to the media library, and there's the image. The one I even deleted, it kept it, and the one I deleted here, it kept it in our library. So I don't want those, so I'm going to remove these bulk actions, delete permanently, since I got 2 of them selected there, and I'm just going to hit apply, and that's going to permanently delete them from our library. And we don't really need them in our library. If we keep them there, they're just going to be taking up space on the server, and they're just going to be straggler type images that are not being used for anything. So there you can see the images. And if you want to look at it in a different view, you could choose this little icon to see the images a little bit bigger. And there's the last one that we added. Okay, and that's it. So yeah, if you have any questions about the process that we just went over, feel free to reach out and send me your questions.